Hey everybody, welcome to the April market update. I'm Jane Johnston and this is Sean Provencher and we're with the Briar Group at Remax Camosun. We're going to give you an overview of what's happening with the market, including what's hot and what's not. So, and our prediction of what's happening. So I did do a little bit of a deep dive and what I'm seeing is a little more resiliency in Greater Victoria compared to other markets.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
Tell us about that.
so essentially what's happening is I don't know the exact stats in Toronto or Vancouver, but comparatively, when I'm talking to my friends who are there, we look comparatively stable. We've had over the past 10 years a strong long-term price run-up, which means we're not like it's been slow and steady, other than the pandemic and that quick acceleration of pricing there. And then in 2022, we had our correction. So the market came down. We have basically remained pretty flat since then. And I'm focused mostly on single family homes. Condos, we are a bit weaker because just what's been happening with the market with the rules changing regarding short-term tenancy and Airbnbs and all of that. So I feel that we're steady as she goes. This is what like I've been saying for months.
I know. I know. There are a couple interesting things, but really everybody, like if we take what's happening in the marketplace and just put a bow around it, for those of you that only have 2 minutes and 25 seconds, it's pretty stable and we remain in a balanced market. Things are very predictable, which is really pleasant. The trickiest thing I would say to predict in our market is if you're pricing your home for sale. That's the one place where it can be really tricky, just because it's like if you overprice your home by a smidgen, there's just so many options on the market right now, you won't get noticed. Aside from that though, like you can assume that if you do price your home correctly, it'll move in a relative amount of time. It's not taking long to move things. Buyers, you have lots of options. Honestly, it's not the most exciting to write market reports about, but it's a great market to navigate if you're looking to make a move, just because there's a level of comfort that we haven't had for a decade in the market right now. So that's really nice.
Essentially, when I've been looking at it, I was sort of taking a 10-year picture of what was happening. And our benchmark prices are all higher than where they were 10 years ago. But in terms of, and even like since, let's see here, April 2025, we're only down 1.2% in benchmark price for Victoria single family homes. So that says to
That
me it's
basically is
flat.
a nothing burger to me too. Like if we're down 0.2, I mean that's flat. Honestly, like for me when I look at this stuff, unless something has a trend that continues for more than 3 months, I don't think it counts as really an indication of something happening. The market on a whole moves pretty slowly unless it's a very exaggerated, like, sales for detached houses are up 14% 2 months in a row. Then we notice. But if it's under 5% and it's just for 1 month, even under 7%, for example, condos this month bumped up more than single family homes for sales, 5.9% for condos and 0.2% more for homes. So both of them were up. But single family homes barely moved and condos did the heavy lifting for the boost in sales that we had this month over last year. So I don't read too much into that personally. How about you? Like, I think unless it continues, if we see that for April, May, June, and July, then I'm going to say, okay, well, something seems like it's happening here with condos.
I think
What's your
condos
take
need
on
to
that?
rebound. They were I would say categorically sucking gas last
The
fall.
red-haired
As
stepchild of our market, a couple of years.
they were not doing well, like because we had that BCGEU strike, and then I just feel like that really stalled the market, especially the condo market. Plus,
And
with
and, and I will say it's like it's a trifecta, right? Like the strike was one thing, But we're also still recovering from these stupid Airbnb rules they made. We had interest rates land at the exact same time. So like there's been a lot of punch in the guts for condos because with interest rates like they are, you can't own a condo as an investment for a long-term rental. Like the numbers just will not work in this market because our prices have gone up and rentals haven't gone up in lockstep. They've actually done better in cities like Toronto, Vancouver, not so much. But like our market needs inventory that people can invest in. I know people often have this bad idea of what real estate investors are, but it's not these big corporations buying up our condo pool in Victoria. It's people like you and me. It's everyday Joes who have a couple bucks to scrape together and they want to put it somewhere safe. And right now they can't do that in our real estate market.
Well, it's also the foreign student ban. So,
Yeah, true.
limitation. Like we're down 65%, I heard. So, where I found that's affected our rental market. So, rental prices have gone down. Because rental prices have gone down, more people are putting condos on the market. More condos on the market means less price. And I know from reading through a few chats that people are definitely negotiating rent. They're coming down. So, and having just purchased, I totally agree. The money just doesn't make sense right now for anybody to buy a condo as an investment, for sure. Unless you're looking like really long term.
I will stand on us. But the problem with long term with stratas is you open yourself up to a lot of variability in what the strata is going to choose to do. The maintenance cost for older buildings is really high. So like it's I will loudly, proudly say that the province needs to stop tinkering with the rules surrounding real estate, and they just need to let it be a market on its own. There's just so many little things that are keeping our market from being as liquid as it should be, and that stops Canadians from being able to do the stuff that they want to do.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But I think what is driving the market right now, though, what I found, the people are moving from elsewhere in Canada right now, and they're moving to Victoria specifically.
And the United States. And the United States. We've had an uptick of inquiries from people in the United States who are looking to get into Canada. I've got a client right now. It's interesting. So Canada also quietly passed, and frankly, I think this is great. And don't ask me about it. I don't know a damn thing about it except for this is how this one family is trying to get here. But they are moving to Canada, and neither of them are Canadian citizens currently, but they're making a claim to citizenship based on one of their great-grandparents being a Canadian citizen. And it used to just be your generation immediately above you. But now, apparently, you can make a claim to citizenship if someone in your family tree was a Canadian citizen. They have to be above you, obviously. Like, it's all got to come down to you. But I think that's great.
Well, I do know we both have had calls recently from people coming from the U.S. who are married to a Canadian. They have kids with dual citizenship, and they're moving back as well. And when they've talked about it, they've talked about the politics, obviously, and healthcare is another thing.
So we see
and education.
Politics, healthcare. I see a lot of young families talking about moving here because of school shootings. That's a major factor. They just feel sick about the idea with the consistency that it's now happening down there. And LGBTQ.
Right, true.
I had another person mention to me that LGBTQ immigrations from the United States are often getting addressed in as little as a month compared with the other people's wait line to get residency is about a year. So it's almost like they're treating it like refugee status, which is wild.
Yeah, they're being persecuted.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unbelievable the time that we're in. Do you want to talk about inventory? Because I want to talk about inventory.
Okay.
There's a lot for sale. We're having, like, it's good that the market is moving right now, but there is a lot for sale right now. So we have 3,710 homes on the market at the end of April. And I was like, wow, that's a big number. Because I remember it being high last year, but like 3,500 high. So I pulled it. And indeed, It was 3,425 at the end of last April. So we're up another 300 plus. And the April before that, I scrolled, hold on. The April before that, we were at 3,017. So we're definitely absolutely positively gaining inventory. So I think that's noteworthy. We got to keep an eye on that.
We're also headed into the two biggest months for inventory in Victoria. But
Yep.
notably, our
But
sales.
those are year over year comparisons. I'm comparing April with April. So last year,
Yeah.
same bag of grapes. You know what I mean?
Yes. However, I really feel the inventory started to sort of reach normal levels a couple of years ago, like 2024. So I feel we're kind of on par. Like when I started in real estate, there were 3,600 listings. Yes. So I feel like we're more in a balanced market. What's interesting though is the sales. I think there were 643 sales in April this year, 642 last year. So sales are average, listings are up. So that says to me there might be some pressure downward during this month. We'll see. I agree regarding price, and I think, oh, sorry, regarding inventory. And I think when pricing, what you have to do is look where you are relative to everybody else. So we're going to rank you when we're looking at the price of your home, see what else is out there, compare apple to apple, and then we want you to be top apple. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely a market where if you aren't clearly the best choice available, chances are you're just not going to get an offer. And often, if you're 5% high or even 3 or 4% high, you might not even be getting showings depending on the type of property that you have. And the, like, for example, there's a lot of similar product on the West Shore because everything's 10 or 20 years old, right? People love that market area for that because you get newer homes and it's good value out there. But you got to realize, like, you've got to have razor's edge pricing out there. Whereas if you're selling like another example is a detach in Esquimalt or something like that, there aren't a lot that come to the market, especially over the past year. It's been really slow. And so you've got a little bit more space that you can, flub your pricing essentially. And people will still come out and look because if someone's looking for that, they might have been waiting a month and a half to go and see something.
But the difference though with the West Shore compared to other markets is because there is new construction, the resale market is competing against the new construction. So you really have to look where you fit in relation to the new product coming out, also in relation to the resales and the motivation, because some people are coming up for their mortgage renewals right now, so their motivation is high to get out of the mortgage. So we have seen softening specifically in that market in
It's
Langford and Colwood.
this is the peak 3 months of the. Oh, sorry. We are in the peak 3 months of the renewal wave right now, like April, May, June, July. That window, I think it peaks around July, August. So right now, in the next 60 days, is when people are going to be putting their home on the market in anticipation of trying to close within that window, right? Like you usually have a window at the end of your mortgage where there's no penalties. 3 months before is pretty typical, and then
Right.
a couple months after they'll still take your money, so you're not in trouble. But we're right in that moment, so it'll be interesting to see how much of that shows up. I haven't personally bumped into a lot of that. And I think the reason is just that we're not yet in a market that is a buyer's market. We're still in a balanced market. So people who do need to sell quickly, it's really simple. Just price your home attractively. If you're looking at that band of value, right? Like no home is ever worth an exact amount. We don't come in and evaluate your home at 1,367,000. We say, well, it's going to be somewhere between 1.3 and 1.35. Well, don't price it at 1,375 to see if you can get an extra couple bucks. You won't in this market. Price it on the attractive side. And the other thing that we're starting to do a lot is a lot of the time people would just look at sales. So they look at like what was moving. and that's super important. But right now, what we're doing is we're giving you the range based on sales. But when it comes time to actually put your house on the market, we're looking really close at what's available. Like, what other homes specifically are buyers going to walk through this week? Because if you don't stand out against those, because this could be a market that moves really quickly, in terms of, you know, that aspect of it. What?
I'm agreeing. We talk about this all the time, and it's so true.
Yeah.
Because you really want to rank well, and I don't mean highest price. I mean best value. And you know, our purpose is not to give your home away. Our purpose is to maximize your return. And so we may give you a price 2 months ago, but depending on what's happening now, that price can change. And what I've said to some people is, if there's nothing on the market, we can price higher. But if there's more inventory on the market, we're going to have to be very strategic about where we fit in between. So this has happened recently with a client. They wanted a certain price based on what they paid on a property. And I said, you know, I just had done a market analysis on a very similar property. To me, there was a threshold. It was $1 million. Over $1 million, things were hesitating. Under $1 million, things were moving. A condo came up in the building in which we're going to be listing, and it came in at $1,050,000. And so this seller was really excited, and I'm like, let's just watch it and see, because this is a great example of them testing the market for us. But what this seller realized was, when they were looking at the pictures, was they were able to see how the place presented. So I think we were talking 3 P's: price, presentation, and preparedness. So if we get the price right and we're prepared, then we can take advantage of the market. But right now, we're not there yet, so we're working on that. Yeah.
Timing is a really interesting thing that I always like to look at, specifically with listings this time of year. We are in the last, we've got May, June, July. Really, May and June are going to be the 2 big months out of the coming 90 days that we have ahead of us. It carries into the summer, but I personally have always found that things kind of soften a little bit for listings when kids get out of school.
Well, I feel no, like listings we'll find will start to peak now, but the sales actually peak in March. So, but they're reported in April and May. So I really feel the best time to list is actually a little earlier in the year. We're going to be right now heading into a lot of competition. So we always try and get ahead, but we also have to deal with what is the people's reality. And you know what? It's just best to be prepared for the market, to present well, show your best foot forward. We still have a runway here till, I would say, October to get your place sold. And there's going to be lots of buyers coming in, like both from Canada and the US, through the summer as well. So it's not going to die off. It will maybe die off at the higher end when people who like to go away for the summer. And I do know some realtors who don't sell in the summer for that reason. But, your average Joe or Jane is going to be around.
I will say, though, over the next 60 days, we should see higher sale figures than in July and August. And I've always noticed this kind of temperature difference on listings, that like the number of showings and the number of offers a little bit lower in the summer months, just because people have a tendency to unplug a little bit, whether it's, they're taking the whole summer off of shopping, or it's just that cumulative factor of all the different vacations that kind of take random buyers out throughout the summer. So a couple things that I'd tell people who are listing is, like, think about the next few months. You've got a relatively short time period. You're much better to be on the market, getting showings, having those buyers consider you before kids get out of school, which is going to come up quick if you're not yet ready. And then the other thing to consider is we have a lot of long weekends this time of year. So for the next 4 months, we are in Canada's party time mode, right? Like we've got May long weekend coming up, then we have Canada Day, then we have August long weekend. Every time that there's a long weekend, similarly, you'll have people going away. But then also, because of that, a lot of people don't want to list their first week on a long weekend because they don't want to have their first week land with their open house when people are out of town. So you tend to get people who cluster after the long weekend because they couldn't get ready. So there's often a nice influx of inventory, which is great for buyers coming back from whatever you did for your long weekend, but also it means for sellers, man, if you can squeeze it out before a long weekend, it's a big advantage because we often will have almost double the number of new listings on a long week, like the week after a long weekend.
That's very true. Especially after a long weekend, it does quieten down. And then
The pressure's on.
just looking at the past 2 years and where the sort of dips in the market happen. So we have a spring market and then we have a fall market. August and December are kind of our two dips that happen just naturally. It's just the way the market is here. So if you can get up and get going by June 1st, I would say, you have a good chance.
Yeah, absolutely. What else
All
to
right.
report, Jane?
Well, my prediction is it's still going to remain steady this year. Great time to move across the market because we've had a bit of compression and there's more range. If you're wanting to get in the market, it's a good time to move from a condo to a townhome. If you're in a townhome, it's a great time to move from townhome to a house. So, and price well.
So I always think it sounds like you're...
I was going to say last week we sold a house in one day. We sold a house in one day last week. So it happens.
That's awesome. I know it always sounds funny when a realtor will say it's a good time to upgrade and a good time to downsize. It is a good time to upgrade because if you've got like a smaller family home and you want to get into a bigger home, there's that compression right now where the starter market's still moving, but we don't have peak activity in the higher end homes. It's also a good downsize though, because if you're looking at downsizing into a townhome or a condo, especially into a condo, that's a slower market. So a lot of opportunity. It's a good time to explore whatever it is that you're thinking about, just because there's a good chance that even though the market isn't as exciting to do market reports on as it was a few years ago, it's probably financially a better time to make that move right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As always, everybody, thank you for watching.
Yeah, and if you want to know what's happening in your neighborhood, the markets are specific and price sensitive depending on what's happening there. So we're happy to dive deep into your area and find out what's going on.
Okay, everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Sean, and we got Jane here. We're the Briar Hill Group, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day.